Let's bring in Republican Senator from Utah, Mike Lee, who sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, of course, would be a juror if this heads his way in the Senate. Good to have you with us tonight, Senator.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Okay, so I want to play something from Congressman Hank Johnson, a Democrat. He says this is why we've arrived at this moment.
When the sign says, in case of emergency, break glass, there better be one heck of an emergency. I did not call for impeachment before, but I call for impeachment today, because this is one heck of an emergency.
You know the argument, Senator. Democrats say the president has left them no choice.
Yeah, so they say that the president has somehow left them no choice. What are they suggesting, that the Republic's going to tip over, as Representative Johnson might suggest? I think not. And what we see is that from the hearings yesterday, we discovered that the overwhelming force of the federal government has been harnessed in such a way as to harm the president of the United States. It failed. The American people have been harmed as a result, and they're not going to tolerate this anymore. What we saw yesterday through this hearing was a series of events that showed that either one, the FBI was weaponized so as to wage a political war against a presidential candidate they despised, or alternatively, they were so incompetent that they allowed a two-bit foreign political operative to wage war against a presidential candidate. Either one of these outcomes is unacceptable, and we're not going to tolerate this anymore.
Okay, they take the next step in this vote eventually, whenever it happens tonight. Then it goes to the full floor for a vote. If that passes, as most expect, enough Democrats will support this to get it to you in the Senate. Here is what Rush Limbaugh says, his take on how you in the Senate should handle it.
It's about time to go on offense with this. Your president didn't do it. Your president is not guilty. They don't have a shred of evidence. They don't have one bit of evidence. They never have had on any of the allegations they've made. So I'm begging you people in the Senate, do not go into this defensively at all.
What is the plan, Senator, for Republicans if this heads into the Senate?
It's to not go into this defensively at all, as Rush Limbaugh just suggested. Look, we have every reason to be bullish about this, optimistic about this. Sad to be sure that the country's in this position because the Democrats have put us here. But we're going to be very much on the offense, and we're very optimistic about the outcome. Why? Well, because the president is on the side of truth and the law in this circumstance. He didn't do anything wrong. And the American people are tired of this political manipulation that we've been seeing from the Democratic Party. They can't win elections, and so they're going after the president instead. The president's going to win, and he's going to win in a big way.
Okay. Law professor Lawrence Tribe, a well-known attorney and critic of the president, tweeted this. Says Senate Republicans can't refute the evidence that Trump is still abusing his power, betraying our national security, corrupting his office, and compromising the upcoming election. So, of course, they'd prefer a trial without witnesses or documents, all of which would be incriminating. How do you respond to his assessment of the plan that many feel is coming into shape for Senate Republicans?
Okay, look, Professor Tribe, I don't know how they do things at Harvard, but I can tell you what we're going to do in Washington. We're going to go to trial. We're going to take witnesses, as he suggests. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to embarrass the heck out of the Democratic Party, because they've been an embarrassment to this country in the way they've handled this. There's not a scintilla of evidence supporting an impeachable offense. They ought to be ashamed of themselves, and they're going to be punished in a very significant way in November.
Okay, I want to ask you about the Horowitz report. I mean, you've had a lot to say about the FISA courts. We've talked about this, the fact that 98% of the applications that go into them are approved. It's ex parte, meaning the government is the only one in there presenting evidence. And these judges have to rely on the information that's presented to them. They can't be faulted for, ruling what's in front of them. But there are obviously a lot of people saying it is long overdue to have some kind of reform to the system. If it can be as abused as, the Inspector General Horowitz seemed to say that it was in the case involving Carter Page. What do you think about steps moving forward regarding the FISA courts?
Look, it's been badly abused. I've been saying for years, for nearly all the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate, that this is a statute that's rife with opportunities for abuse. I knew that it would not be a question of if, but when and how badly it would be abused. That's now happened. I've now got people at every end of the political spectrum on the Senate Judiciary Committee and the Senate as a whole saying FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, as it now stands, cannot stand any longer. We're going to scrap this thing. We're going to undertake a major overhaul, and we're not going to let this be business as usual.
All right. Senator Mike Lee, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.